Welcome to Suite 303. I'm your host, Jay Stoyan, and are you in for a treat? We have on a very special guest and a really good guy, Robert Martellacci. Now, Robert is the founder and president of Mindshare Workspace and Mindshare Learning, and he has so much more going on, so stay tuned, and we'll be back after these commercial messages. Welcome back to the show. Again, I'm Jay Stoyan, and you're watching Suite 303. On the show today, we are very excited as we have the founder and president, Robert Martellacci. He is the head chief of Mindshare Workspace and Mindshare Learning. Robert, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Jay.
This is very exciting. We have to say a little of how we met through one of our hosts, Susan Stewart of Trailblazers. Robert is all over Mississauga in a great way. So Robert, why don't you tell our viewers a little bit what you're doing in Mississauga, and then we can just go from there.
Most definitely. Thank you for having me. It really is about relationships and making those connections. And we're fortunate to meet Sue Stewart, one of your hosts, and she happened to be walking through the mall. And we connected, and through a conversation we discovered in our past lives. I was sport information director at York University, and she was a star basketball player at Laurentian, really our nemesis at the time. Funny. And so we crossed paths unknowingly, and then we connected, and I thought she had a tremendous story, and I really wanted to give her an opportunity when we launched our Mindshare Workspace, Canada's first mall-located co-working innovation center in Air Mills Town Center. And she told me about your show that you host with her. And I said, well, why don't we host a show here? And it's all about making those connections. And hence, that's how that relationship evolved. And we hired her. She's working part-time for us. And she's absolutely loving the job, and she's making a value contribution.
I think before we get into your fabulous location, because it's so innovative, I just have to hand it to you and thank you, because it's corporations and individuals like Robert that has a vision and is a little bit of a risk taker, because we all are. And you said, you know, I see a real good thing if I get involved with Susan and give an opportunity. And that's what we're all about, is giving people opportunities and having people and corporations like Robert on board who see our vision, want to share in our vision, and want to support our vision. So Robert, I thank you very much for opening up your arms, your eyes, your mind, and saying, you know what, I want to get involved.
100%. It's my pleasure, and I think it's really important to give back. And you know, as someone who was fortunate to have some great mentors over the years, I grew up locally nearby in Little Italy here, and my upbringing, you know, I'm going to share a little bit about what people don't know.
Yes.
It was actually pretty rough. It was growing up. I was in a home that was not what people would expect to be normal. And, you know, I had an alcoholic father and abusive to my mother, and saved her life a couple of times. And that really hardens you. And, you know, fortunately, through my involvement in sport, and had some great mentor coaches, that really became a focus for me and a passion. And I wanted to become a professional hockey player. I played at a very high level. I played against Wayne Gretzky growing up. And, you know, I don't look back. I'm one that looks forward. I'm an optimist out of necessity, if you will. And sport helped change and shape my life. And to the point where I studied it at university. I focused on sport management. And you know, that's a circuitous route as to how Sue and I connected.
I think that's great insight, that the way you've added sports into your life, because it teaches you how to be a team player, how to be a leader, how to win, how to lose, and it's just in memories, right? Like, how many memories do you have from the sporting world?
Some great memories, and from coaching my kids over the years, 15 years of coaching. I still play faculty hockey at York University. My left winger is 87 years old. We had him inducted in the Over 80 Hall of Fame last year. He's former president of York University, who signed my degree. And I just saw him the other night at our 30th anniversary honoring of a national championship team. And it's so important to, you know, stay active, you know, and have mentors as well. And they inspired me. He inspired me to keep going. Because you don't think of playing all your life. You don't think you can. Too many people have their pinnacle back in high school, and I like to think I haven't reached mine yet.
That's great. I love that story. I love the way that you have a past and you sort of incorporated your past into your present and into your future. So take us along from the early days in Little Italy.
Sure.
And then take us along, and then we'll get up to obviously your jewel today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I really enjoyed growing up in the area and playing hockey outdoors on the pond. We go down to the park after school, and we wouldn't get home some nights till 10 o'clock at night. And you didn't worry, the parents didn't worry about you. They knew where you were,
100%.
And, I could have done a little more homework, I guess, at the time. But, and then I pursued my passion in high school. And then one of the teachers I had in Mr. Everett, he was a real mentor to me. And I remember him saying, the years of your 20s are the years of your should-haves and could-haves. And I thought I was going to be a hockey player, and I wasn't thinking about university. There were 5 kids in my family. And I thought, geez, I don't want to have any regrets. So I think I might want to do grade 13 and pursue this university thing. And hence I ended up at York University. I was the 4th in line in my family as a kid, but I was the first to go to university.
Congratulations.
And that really charted my course and set me up for the future. And I embedded myself in the university, playing hockey, studying sport management, and then to the point where I worked there for 10 years. And then I was lured away by Kevin O'Leary's company.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that story.
Yeah,
that must have been quite exciting.
It was. And I always, when we first got on the internet back in the mid-90s, I thought, this internet thing's really cool. Technology is the future, and I'm passionate about learning. And one of our co-chairs of the business alliance, I started running as I moved out of sport. Aidan Flatley, he was good buddies with Kevin. And it's about relationships, right? It's about it's making those connections between you and Sue and I, and that's how we're now hosting the future show at our space,
which we're going to be talking about.
Yeah,
a little
absolutely.
Bit. Yeah.
And so. They were looking for someone to launch the startup, the learning company in Canada, the school division. And I just happened to put my hand up and say, hey, I'm interested in doing this. And got the job, and they started it from nothing and built it up. And then we were, an international company. I was a member of the Canadian team. I was a country manager. And we were ultimately, after 3 years, sold to Mattel.
Okay.
And that inspired me to start Mindshare Learning Technology some 15 years ago.
That's a great addition to your resume, I think. Because, let's be honest, Kevin O'Leary is extremely successful. A Canadian, and I know people probably, I'm sure he's a lot different than he is on TV, because he's a personality on TV. So I just have to congratulate. I think that's quite a feather in your cap.
Well, thank you. He had high expectations. He wasn't known to be the most empathetic individual, but you take the good. I always look for the good in people and learn from others, and hence I'm a lifelong learner.
There you go. So again, we're here with the founder and president, Robert Martellacci from Mindshare Workspace and Mindshare Learning. Now, tell us about your facility now, Robert.
Well, it's an interesting evolution after running Mindshare for the last 15 years, and I augmented my skills. 10 years ago, I did a master's in educational technology at Pepperdine in California, which was kind of cool. On our drive up to Malibu to graduation from LA, we happened to run into, I mentioned Seinfeld's name because I saw a vintage Porsche in the distance, and sure enough, right beside me was Jerry Seinfeld, who I ended up meeting at the plaza in Malibu. There's one plaza, and I was meeting a buddy at Starbucks, and these 2 Porsches pull up, and there was Seinfeld's bodyguard and him driving the other Porsche Spyder.
Wow, and he was driving a Porsche, obviously.
Yeah, and I ended up introducing myself because we studied as movie documentary comedian in our master's program from a learning theories perspective. So I introduced myself, I had my camera in my pocket, hoping to get a photo. And I started chewing the fat with him. He said, well, tell me more about that. Yeah. And he was engaged.
Wow.
And so we took photos, and it was just an amazing pre-graduation happening that unanticipated. And I shared this with my classmates. We ended up, I was featured in the alumni magazine. Wow. And so that was a real highlight. And so that really catapulted us into a conference, a newsletter we've been publishing. We do podcast interviews. We did live stream this morning on Periscope, This Week in EdTech. And so innovation is part of my DNA and of our company.
I noticed that when I was out there, like the technology you have and the innovative, I guess, vision you have for your location. Like it's a great workspace that for the corporate person or for the stay-at-home person, either or, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and we're catering to kids on weekends. We have a robotics camp. The Mississauga Art Council is going to be involved with us.
I seen the yoga.
And yoga.
Yeah.
We had yoga on last Saturday. So we want to embed ourselves in the community and reach out to the different stakeholder groups. We had a master's class in sustainability. I lectured to last Monday in our space and about the whole business model. They took my business case and they analyzed it and they developed a 5-year plan that they presented to me yesterday. And 5 groups, 5 presentations, and they gave me the PowerPoints. And I have to tell you, I was so impressed. There were like a lot of golden nuggets that I got out of them. Because young people are creative and innovative if you give them an opportunity.
So much so. And I know Mississauga, the city of Mississauga, and all the councillors, including the Mayor Bonnie Crombie and Pat Sato and Matt Mahoney and Bob Delaney. I know and the landlord. I know they're extremely supportive of your location.
They really are. In fact, Mayor Crombie tweeted us out on the weekend, this past weekend, referring to us as a model example of the future reimagining of malls research project that they currently have underway. And there was an article in CBC in the news about malls challenged and having to redefine themselves. And so, I took a risk. I took a calculated risk with the growth trajectory, hockey stick growth trajectory, co-working, and then the inverse curve with the demand for retail space. So that's kind of the sweet spot for us that inspired us to go into Air Mills Town Center with a 4,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility.
I love that formula.
Yeah,
that's a great
shared office.
But getting back to the city of Mississauga, like from Hazel to now Bonnie, just top notch the way they designed the city.
100%.
So you have the industrial, you have your corporate, you have your residential, you have the malls. So I just wish you all the best in your new location. We will be out there this coming February 6th from 6 to 9. We are shooting 2 shows, Susan's show, Trailblazers, and Socially Serve with Frank Soroka. Again, it's a free event. So please do come out and be entertained, learn a little bit of information, learn about the Disability Channel, our employment programs, which Robert is a big supporter of, and just come out and have some fun. We're going to be doing some giveaways. So tell us what else you have going on in the future now, Robert.
Well, we currently have our 10th annual Classroom of the Future Challenge, and we're appealing to educators across the country to share their vision of the classroom and how they're preparing our future leaders to be digital citizens. And you can win over $50,000 in prizes. And so we are going to have 3 national winners. That wraps up February 19th, and all you need to do is submit a 2 to 3 minute video.
That's great. And I'm sure you have so much more stuff going on. Before I do let you go, please do give out your information if people want to find out more about your location.
Absolutely. They can go to www.mindshareworkspace.com or www.mindsharelearning.com to get more information about both of our organizations.
That's great. Again, Robert's going to be joining our platform. We're going to be having, I guess we want to call it a little bit of a satellite office. We're going to be doing a pilot day out there again on February 6th. We invite everybody, including the politicians, the corporations, the public. We'd love for you guys to come out and support us. It's all about showcasing abilities here at the Disability Channel. I want to thank Robert for being on the show today. Thank you, Robert.
Pleasure.
And I want to thank you for taking a chance in the Disability Channel and supporting us. If people do want to find out more information on the Disability Channel, they can go to www.thedisabilitychannel.ca. You can also find us on Facebook, The Disability Channel, on Twitter, @TDC1. You can also find Robert, if you want to give out your Twitter handle.
@MindShareLearn and @MindShareWorkspace.
That's great. Again, I'm Jay Stoyan. You're watching Suite 303. We'll see you next time.